New Zealand Warriors had a narrow victory, 15-14 over your Dragons. This was the Niche Case Derby, and there was a moment in the first half where the commentators, shout out to those commentators, because every time a 19-year-old touched the ball, we were told they were 19 years old. Leka Lasima, 19-year-old. And I'll give them a pass for saying Pacifica Tonga when his name is Pacifici Tonga. That's all right. Learn my lesson about critiquing name pronunciations from the commentators, because they are a bit antsy if you do criticize them. But I mean, we don't need to be told that the 19-year-old's got the ball every time the 19-year-old's got the ball, because you don't say like, oh, Luke Metcalf, the whatever age he is, 24-year-old every time. It was a bit weird. But during the first half, one of the commentators said the Dragons are self-imploding. And in that moment, I took a moment of gratitude, because I was like, feels good. Feels good not to be watching the team that self-implodes. Because any Warriors fan knows the Warriors are these self-imploders. Whether it's mid-game, whether it's mid-season, or whether in the history of the Warriors we're looking at it like, oh, we got a good coach, let's kick him out. That is the Warriors of old. They are the self-imploders, and yet the Warriors almost self-imploded in that game. So after the moment of being aware of my gratitude that the Warriors were not self-imploding, that it was the Dragons who self-imploded, then the Dragons scored 2 tries, and the Dragons drew it up at 14 all, and then the Warriors won 15-14 with a Luke Metcalf drop goal. Shout out to Luke Metcalf and Metcalf moments, because he's having these moments that are helping the Warriors win. But overall, I don't care how the Warriors played in this game. They got the win. And we're seeing this over and over again. The first 3 wins in a row, clean, clinical, competitive, crisp Warriors footy. In the sense that they got through their plans, they won the game late, and they were playing pretty good rugby league. Then they had the loss to the Storm, and ever since the win over the Broncos, I have set up those games as win by any means. At no stage, well, there are stages where the Warriors are playing really good rugby league. In their last 4 wins, 4 gritty wins in a row, like they have had moments, but overall those games have not been sublime Warriors rugby league. To be honest, they've kind of been the opposite. But they do enough to win the game, and that is the best thing. 4 gritty wins in a row. How did you feel coming up against that Warriors team? And were you aligned with me in thinking, Jack de Belin, he's the game changer? Because when he came on the field, then the Dragons started to score their points. And then they took him off in the second half, and I know the Dragons just fell away. So I thought Jack de Belin was your best player. In the same way, I kind of thought, once again, Aaron Clark was the best player for the Warriors. So how were you feeling with that in mind as a Dragons fan?
Well, Jack de Belin will be glad to hear that, I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, that did seem to match up with when the Dragons were most. I didn't actually think of that, but it does match up with when the Dragons were most potent scoring tries. But it felt like, because you could look at this game and the Cowboys game before it for the Warriors and see like a sort of pattern of very good first halves and then hanging on to win in the second half. But it kind of happened in a different way, because they did sort of blow the Cowboys away for a while there to build up a big lead. Whereas in the Dragons defended all right. I thought, even when they were 14-0 down, because frankly, they could have been down a lot more. It was their own errors that were allowing the Warriors to get field position and all this. And, picking 2 wingers who can't catch was probably not the wisest decision. Don't know why Luciano Leilua started because he was an error every couple touches for him. But a lot of that did come from the fact that the Warriors were kind of just rolling through the Dragons through the middle as well. Like they're just, it's not the cliche of the Warriors just having a massive forward pack, because I don't think that's been true for a very long time. And everyone has a massive forward pack except maybe the Dragons. So that's not really an excuse anyway. It was more about how they play. Like they were throwing big contact into tackles and basically, winning those rucks and what. And the Dragons just kept making mistakes, giving away penalties, and probably a couple of decisions there from the referees, which I wasn't too happy about. But the thing about that is the refs tend to favor the team that's got the momentum and the team that's winning those tackles, winning those battles. That's just normal rugby league stuff. So I thought the Warriors were very good at capitalizing up to a point. They probably should have maybe scored an extra try during that phase of the game, like the sort of first half hour or so when they were when the Dragons were in their imploding phase. But the thing about that is, like, the game doesn't have to change that much for it to feel like it's changed a lot, because the Dragons just have to stop dropping the ball for that to suddenly balance out. And I think that's what did happen, is they finally found a little bit of self-respect and did close that game up and did play quite well and did look like they might win that for a while in the second half. But of course, the Dragons don't have anyone who can kick a drop goal except Valentine Holmes, who refuses to even attempt one unless he's at least 45 meters out. So fair play to Luke Metcalf for another Metcalf moment, another Metcalf winning moment. But it felt like a game where the Warriors led for most of the way. When they were on top by more. And it was probably a game where if they hadn't won, it would have felt like they really kind of threw it away, which they didn't, because they found those moments. There's a nice comeback from the Dragons, but it did feel like the Warriors were the more efficient, more effective team, and that is going to win you the game over the full scope of the 80 minutes.
And that's the exact feeling I'm talking about for Warriors fans, because throughout the last 25 years or whatever, 30 years, we have seen the Warriors play good rugby league and lose. Now they're playing all right rugby league and they're winning. So it's quite a crazy feeling. I mean, the Dragons forward pack, David Clemmer's not small. Jack DeBellin's not small. Leilua's not small. Pacifici Tonga is not small. But their forward pack was like dominated by the Warriors. And that goes back to my main man, Aaron Clark. 18 runs, 177 meters, 9.8 meters per run. So you're doing 18 runs and you're averaging 9.8 meters per run. That's Aaron Clark, not in a nutshell, because he also does a lot of passing. He also does a lot of fantastic defensive coverage as well as the tackling. But also Mitchell Barnett, 20 runs, averaging 9.3 meters per run. Every time those dudes got the ball, there was no pressure on them, so they just rolled forward. And it's like, I genuinely think the Dragons forward pack was bigger, but the Warriors forward pack was better. And the Warriors forward pack was better despite losing Jackson Ford to his head knock. And then Bunty Afoa had a knee injury during the game as well. So it was a very impressive effort from the whole Warriors team, but especially the middle forwards in that game. There was a stint where Tamaiti Martin was playing lock. And like Sam Healy last week, Sam Healy came on, played a bit of middle forward, then played hooker. That's what Tamaiti Martin did this week. So he was defending in the middle, playing as a middle forward, and then he gave Egan a couple minutes off. I think it was 7 minutes off to do a job at hooker. So again, that's another common thread. Like, the Warriors are able to deal with so many different injury situations, whether it's during the week and then you've got someone playing a different role ahead of the game, whether it's a late change like they had last week with Leotawa, or mid-game as they've had all season as well. The Warriors can deal with those splashes of adversity very well because of their versatility and also their ability. They're just good players. They're good rugby league players. I still believe the barometers are Wade Egan and Shans Nickel-Klokstad. Nickel-Klokstad, I think he was better than Gutherson. Now, these are some pretty crazy things to say. I mean, Shans Nickel-Klokstad better than Clint Gutherson. But it's a fact. Like, he was just better than Gutherson. He made a lot of meters through the middle, good footwork, good power. Like, it always surprises me how powerful Shans Nickel-Klokstad is. He doesn't look that big. Of course, he's muscly, but he doesn't like strike me as someone who is going to be running into opposition forwards and pumping his legs to make meters. And that's what Shans Nickel-Klokstad does. Also very safe at the back, which I think is important, making his tackles and dealing with the kicks. And a similar theme, we got Wade Egan, who I thought was better than Damien Cook, and he was better than Jacob Little. Jacob Little did add something to the Dragons, I thought, but Wade Egan's just better. And, I mean, we don't, as we'll find out in a jiffy, like, stats aren't the be-all, end-all. But Wade Egan's 7 dummy half runs for 79 meters. He played a lot of the game, so he's going to have more runs full stop. Damien Cook had 2 runs for 17 meters. Like, Damien Cook's greatest strength is his speed. Didn't do anything. Jacob Little had 4 runs for 32 meters. Both of them well down below 10 meters per run. Wade Egan above 10 meters per run. No surprises then who leads the whole NRL for dummy half runs. Wade Egan, the explosive runner out of dummy half. Wade Egan is first for dummy half runs in the whole NRL. And I think he must still be churning out the career best meters. Let me double check with that. Because we've talked about it before, this is a major addition to the Warriors, is far more impactful dummy half running. And he's averaging 75 meters per game, which is, again, that's well above his 51 meters per game previous best. I do have a lot of like stat things that I think are really important. They do tell the story of the Warriors. They do inform us and offer insights. And even this statistical pocket is a learning moment. It offers us some sort of insight. Kurt Capewell has missed the most tackles in the whole NRL. He is first for missed tackles. So Kurt Capewell obviously sucks. He is obviously terrible at rugby league, and he is a losing rugby league player because he is first for missed tackles. And let me check if there's a bit of a margin here. Who is second for missed tackles in the NRL? Reed Mahoney, otherwise known as Reed Marnie. Oh, my Marnie. For common folk who aren't caught up in their own Aussie bullcacker is Reed Mahoney. But to the Aussies, he's Reed Marnie. He has missed 43 tackles. Kurt Capewell has missed 51. They lead the NRL for missed tackles. But Kurt Capewell is awesome. I love what Kurt Capewell is doing. Like Mitchell Barnett, like when Aaron Clark gets the ball, he's just running directly, he's running fast, and he's making meters. But Barnett and Capewell they had like Capewell didn't have as many run meters and involvements because he was out at center. But every time they got the ball, there was so much space in front of them and they could kind of build up a head of steam. They got a bit of footwork. Barnett's got less footwork, but it's sharper footwork, whereas Kurt Capewell's footwork is like one step takes him 2 meters in this direction. Like I've said it before, say it again. He's a little bit Gumby running the ball, but he was highly effective. And I think it's just a classic case of he misses so many tackles because A, he wants to make the tackle. Like he puts himself in positions where he's going to miss. You know how in like basketball, especially the NBA, they don't want to take the buzzer beater shot because it's going to ruin their shooting percentage, which is the most ridiculous, selfish bullshit I've ever heard. And I'm not using bullcucker for that one.
There's an even worse one in basketball. If you notice when they're like standing there waiting for the last 3 seconds to tick off the clock, but the shot clock's slightly ahead of the other one, you'll see guys wait till right at the end of the shot clock, then they'll pass the ball so that they're not the one holding the ball when the shot clock expires with like 1 second left in the game, so they don't get charged with the turnover. That's even worse. Like at least when you're chucking up a heave, it's fun, you know?
Yeah, but they don't chuck up the heave.
Or they wait till after the buzzer and throw it up, or
Well, they just don't do it because they're selfish. And it is bullshit. It's not bullcucker. Bullcucker has a bit of joy. This is just bullshit. This is selfish bullshit. But Kurt Capewell, he's got none of that. He's going to miss the tackle because he's trying to make a tackle. And he's always trying to make a tackle. So it's a combination of that. And then like, if you just get the first contact, you're going to miss the tackle, but you slow them down. Your mates come, they help finish the tackle. So you get credited for the missed tackle, but you start the completed tackle. So like someone can just look, because Kurt Capewell, he's not averaging 10 meters per run either. He's not getting 100 meters on 10 runs. He is not a statistical rugby league player. He is a winning rugby league player. And he is one of my favorite Warriors in this stint of wins by any means, because like him and Barnett are the leaders right now. Yeah, sure, you got other experienced players, Shanstuckle-Krookster, Wade Egan, Watene-Zelezniak came back, but he's not in the same leadership category as Capewell and Barnett. And I had a couple of GIFs in the debrief on Sunday morning where Kurt Capewell, like the Dragons, it's when they shift out to their left edge, when they should have been staying in the middle to try and get a drop goal. And Kurt Capewell just monsters the halfback, King Tongia. 1-on-1. No one else involved in the tackle. He just sits him on his ass. King Tongia loses the ball. So he didn't miss that tackle. And it was at the biggest moment of the game for the Dragons. Then, as like the last play of the game, Kurt Capewell was defending in the middle when the Dragons have the ball deep in their own territory. Because he's so involved, he just finds himself in the middle. But then you just like the GIF finishes with all these Warriors jerseys. Like I'm just watching Leka Halasima sprint across the field. I'm watching Kurt Capewell sprint across the field. Egan, Barnett, Niakore, Pompey from the other side of the field. They all sprint across to the sideline where Watene-Zelezniak intercepts the ball and it's game over. And to me, those efforts are led by Capewell and Barnett. And they have been fantastic in this period. Because like if Fisher Harris comes back, then he steps up as the big Donny leader. You obviously got co-captains and all that stuff, but it's just like who's leading the talk, who's leading the effort, who's leading the grit. And these games have been won by grit and consistent effort over skill, over execution. And to me, Capewell is one of the most important players, if not the most important player, because he's playing edge forward. He has started 2 games at center. He started at center against the Broncos. Like, they've got good centers. Katoni Staggs and someone else. Shibasaki. Kurt Capewell was there. And then the other game was against the Dragons, who have Valentine Holmes and Moses Sully. I think Capewell was up against Holmes. But he's also done the switch mid-game. So he starts at edge forward, and he can slot straight into center mid-game, and it's no issues. That is very important for the Warriors. Leadership, versatility, and a bit of funky skill. Like, he's a funky rugby league player. He runs Gumby. He's got an offload. He's got footwork. But he leads with his effort. So yes, shout out to him. First in the NRL for missed tackles. That is a big Donny stat if ever I've seen one. A couple more stats. The Warriors are first for completion rate, 83%, and they are first for the fewest penalties conceded. So they are last for penalties conceded. So the Warriors have the best completion rate and concede the fewest penalties. That seems like a good recipe for rugby league. And it's by a significant margin as well. Like, the percentage, it's a bit smaller. Next best is the Sharks with 81%. Warriors are 83%. Penalties conceded. The Warriors are 39 penalties conceded. The Dolphins are next best on 49. I mean, the Warriors just don't concede penalties. How good is that? Something I've never seen in my life. Another little stat area I love, Metcalf moments. He is the leading try scorer for the Warriors with 7 tries. Chanel Harris-Tavita is the leading Warriors player for try assists with 7 try assists. So one of your halves has 7 tries. The other half has 7 try assists. I like it. Of course, the headlines, the Metcalf moments, it's all about the tries. But Chanel Harris-Tavita is doing his job as a complementary halves player with the same number of try assists. They both have over 2,000 kicking meters. And that is, again, it's complementary. Luke Metcalf, right foot, Chanel Harris-Tavita, left foot. So I like that stuff. Most post-contact meters for the Warriors, Aaron Clark, then Mitchell Barnett, then Jackson Ford, Shans Nickel-Klokstad. Shans Nickel-Klokstad is 4th for Warriors post-contact meters, 1st for run meters, and 1st for tackle breaks. This week, the Warriors play the Dolphins. Who knows what's going to happen there? I do think the Warriors are due for a loss. It just feels like you can't keep doing what they're doing in the NRL and win games. That seems ridiculous. It would be awesome, but it seems ridiculous if you're not playing your best and you keep winning by a small margin, because it doesn't take much for the opposition to get up and play a better level and to defeat you. That is balanced by the Warriors having, if they do get Roger Tuivasa-Sheck back and he plays on the wing, I do think it's going to change the Warriors for the better. Or I should say, I think it's going to be a boost for the Warriors if they can have Nickel-Klokstad, Watene-Zelezniak, Tuivasa-Sheck running the footy and just plowing downfield. Because, like, they do it well now with Nickel-Klokstad. Watene-Zelezniak had a tough game, but you can see how he adds to the Warriors as far as making meters. Because he runs hard and fast and straight. Now, if you add Tuivasa-Sheck to that, and he's powerful and he's got footwork, The Warriors, if their back three can make 30 meters right there, 10 meters each, easy. Then you add in the likes of Aaron Clark, Mitchell Barnett, Wade Egan around the ruck, and I think that's a recipe to win against the Dolphins. But the Warriors just need to hang on. Who knows who's going to be out injured? You just got to keep fighting, keep scrapping, and hopefully there's a cleaner execution with the return of Tuivasa Sheck just to fight off the fact that I believe they're due for a loss. My favorite Warriors nugget, though, is that the Warriors in the NRL and New South Wales Cup are 15-3 combined. 15 wins, 3 losses. The Warriors are second in the NRL to the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are 6th in the New South Wales Cup. The Warriors are 1st. The Warriors are 1 win behind the Bulldogs in the NRL. The Bulldogs are 3 wins behind the Warriors in New South Wales Cup. So the only team, because there's not many Queensland teams at the top of the ladder, Storm, Raiders, Sharks, Cowboys. I've been actually thinking about this as well. I think the Warriors and teams like the Bulldogs, it is very beneficial the way their pipelines and systems are set up. Because the Bulldogs, their reserve grade team, their under 21s, their under 19s, their under 17s are all Bulldogs teams. The Storm, where you got Sunshine Coast, you got North Sydney Bears, and I think they might have East Tigers in Queensland as well. So the Storm players below NRL, they get filtered down to different teams. They do have their under 21s, they do have their under 19 teams, but they do not have all their teams under their one umbrella. And all the Queensland teams, they don't have the Queensland Rugby League under 21s or under 20s competition that is the Jersey Flegg competition in New South Wales. I have seen, though, that there is a Queensland under 20s competition for the NRL team. So they do have that, but it's shorter. It's not a full season Jersey Flegg competition. So that's a bonus for the Warriors. And shout out to the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs are first in NRL. Don't have a lot of Kiwi NRL flavor in their NRL team, as we've talked about all year. However, having done the women's preview, the NRLW preview, and keeping an eye on all the junior stuff, the Bulldogs are still the most active in their appreciation for New Zealand. Because they've got a whole bunch of wahine from Aotearoa in their NRLW team, and their development pipeline for women gives other NRLW teams players. Like Trinity Tauiniai and Soraya Palepale are from Aotearoa. They were recruited by the Bulldogs to go to Sydney. Now they're in the Dragons system. The Finau sisters, Tatiana Finau, Claudia Finau, they're from Auckland. They were recruited by the Bulldogs. Now they're in the Raiders system. And we know, like, the Bulldogs, where do I start with all their Kiwi NRL juniors who are in their system? Cassius Tia, Alekala Simi Jones, Whamai Tuilalo, Bronson Rubin, Sheldon Haywood, Roy Tatupu, Sosaya Alatini. I could go on and on. But all those Kiwi NRL juniors haven't quite made it to the NRL level for the Bulldogs. So, respect to the Bulldogs, they don't have a lot of Aotearoa flavour in their NRL team, which is currently first in the NRL. But they do love Aotearoa more than any other team, because they have the women's side and the Kiwi NRL junior pipeline. But I do want to spend some time talking about the Warriors system because they're 15-3 in those two competitions. I did feel like Leka Halasima, he didn't have like a headliney, highlighty game against the Dragons. And I think the best case for the Warriors is that Halasima comes off the bench so that he's coming on against the tired bodies and he's not. Because anytime he got the ball against the Dragons, there were three dudes in a flat line right in front of him. And he's good at making the meters because he's got this weird kind of lean forward into the defense that always he always pokes through the line. He always drives forward. But the best Warriors team has Halasima coming off the bench when he is running at tired bodies. He is running at scattered defensive lines with full energy, full fizz, full footwork. He hasn't had to make 20 tackles and that kind of stuff. You can, any Halasima reports, because he's the most kind of high profile Warriors youngster?
Well, he hits extremely hard when he's hitting the ball up. He also hits extremely hard in the tackle too. Like for someone who's young enough that he's in that bracket of guys who people tell us his age every time he does anything, he's like mashing blokes in attack and defense, which is kind of crazy stuff. Like you see it every week, you get used to it, but it's actually pretty insane that someone of his age is out there doing what he's doing in a physicality sense, you know?
Yeah, and going back to this GIF of the last play against the Dragons, I mean, I made that GIF with Capel in mind, but it's Halasima who does the most running to make a defensive play in the last moment of the game. Oh, excuse me. Got the bips. Halasima is awesome, but as we've talked about, there's no Ali Leotawa this week against the Dragons, but I thought Vaimonga was fantastic, and I thought Laban was really good as well. The thing about those two, though, is and Halasima's done this, so credit to him. Like, this is nothing negative against Halasima. It's just, again, challenging myself to look beyond the obvious stuff that all the Aussies are big upping. Vaimonga and Laban are doing their job for a winning NRL team as young players on the rise. Vaimonga, he had a couple line breaks against the Dragons. What did you think about Vaimonga?
Same thing I think about in most weeks is and I'd actually say the similar things about like a Halasima as well. Is like the enthusiasm is not just massive, but like as enthusiasm tends to be, it's infectious as well. So you got it helps when your team's on a winning streak, and you know that you feel like you're getting the reward for your efforts, but the regular efforts that you're seeing from young guys who haven't been around long enough to I don't know, maybe you say they've not been around long enough to be jaded about the ups and downs of first grade stuff. They're just riding the wave right now, but I don't know, they were playing last season, so I don't know if that actually applies. Just the enthusiasm and the energy that you get from those guys, and Vaimonga, I reckon, is number one in that category, because I said this before, but he's doing the same thing when he's on the bench. He's on the bench, not even in the game, and he's the biggest cheerleader. He's supporting every tackle. And I just I like seeing that. I think about this watching football a lot. I reckon the teams that celebrate their defensive players as well as celebrating their goals and close chances and whatever. I don't know what the correlation is. Don't know how you research this, but my suspicion is that those teams are the better teams. Like the teams that also everyone gets around the goalkeeper when he makes a great save. Everyone gets around a defender when he makes a sliding block, kind of thing. I think that is a sign of a team that is that's, everyone's pulling in the same direction. I think there's a lot of examples you can see about that, with how that applies to the Warriors at the moment on the streak that they're currently on. And a lot of that shines through from guys like Weimonga.
I thought it was Vaimonga's best game. 9 meters for 108, 9 runs for 108 meters. Sorry, Halasima 11 runs for 120 meters. Both of them over 10 meters per run against a, like some would say, better forward pack by name. Vaimonga also had 29 tackles, 96.6%. I thought that was Vaimonga's best game. He did have a line break through the middle. He's got, he was a midfielder in rugby union for De La Salle College. He's got the footwork. He's got the speed. He's got the passing game to be a really effective middle forward. But again, Jacob Laban doesn't have the stats. But Jacob Laban finished the game as an edge forward. And Jacob Laban now coming into his 3 games this season, he's played 27, 37, and 27 minutes. He's not getting 10 minutes a game. He's not getting 15 minutes. He's getting 27, 37 minutes per game. And he's doing his job. And that's something I'd like to double down on, is they have the highlights, but they're doing their job for a winning team. So I don't care about the highlights. I don't care about Halasima's highlights. He's played 80 minutes for the first time in his career, doing it twice in wins. So the highlights, the stats, whatever. These youngsters, Ali Leotawa included, they just do their job for a winning team. But they also have the highlights. Ali Leotawa has line breaks in the NRL. He has ridiculous New South Wales Cup highlights. Dimitri Vaimonga has scored tries in the NRL. He has chased down a chip. He didn't do the chip himself, but that's all right. He chased down the chip in the middle of the field to score a try in New South Wales Cup. He has those highlights. Jacob Laban has scored a bunch of tries jumping over everyone in New South Wales Cup. He's also scored a try running 60 meters down the sideline. We all know what Halasima's done. So they all have the highlights. But they're all doing their job in a winning team, which is very impressive to me, and it stems back to New South Wales Cup. They were playing 2023 New South Wales Cup as youngsters in a team that was winning. Most of them played a bunch of games last year in New South Wales Cup for a team that was winning. And there's this other thing, so I think we've touched on this as well, because last week it was all Bishop Neal, right? It was the Bishop Neal highlights. But as we talked about, well, not, again, I'd say it again, shout out to Lennox Tuiloma, because he was the under-17 finals player of the match from Christchurch. Then it was Bishop Neal from Christchurch. So I've seen it because I've done the clips. So when I do the clips, a couple of days later, after getting out into the bush, after getting out into Mother Nature in Aotearoa, grounding myself, then I check the reaction to those clips. So you see, Bishop Neal, give him an NRL contract. Well, you know what Bishop Neal did? He went back to school. So just chill out. There is a system and there is a process in place that develops players at the Warriors. Bishop Neal, there were, I think, Isaiah Savia, Kenny Luffy Tuanai, I don't have the name right in front of me, but there are a bunch of Warriors players who are playing first 15 for St. Thomas at Canterbury with Bishop Neal. So yes, Bishop Neal's awesome, but he's also can we just let him finish school before we promote him to higher grades? But this week, It was Kalis Fatialofa, who I believe is still under 21s. He's a Otara junior, also spent time at Manurewa and came through De La Salle College. He scored 3 tries. Big win for the New South Wales Cup Warriors. Here's the last 4 wins for the New South Wales Cup Warriors. 40-12 versus the Dragons. 30-18 versus the Knights. 56-14 versus Bears. The North Sydney Bears, who should probably not be back in the NRL, and they should probably give another New Zealand team to the NRL under a different umbrella. But all the Aussies are still infatuated with the North Sydney Bears because that was cool 30 years ago. Cool. 46-30 versus the Raiders this week. So those are the last 4 wins. Over 30 points in all 4 of those wins, and 3 of them conceded less than 20 points. Fatialofa, 3 tries. Fatialofa, really good at rugby league. Centre, edge forward, good footwork, powerful, fast. I got him like 4th on my yet to debut for the Warriors depth chart in the forts. No, 3rd, sorry. So like there's a lot of Fatialofa hype this week that I'm seeing in the comments and on social media from that clip of him scoring the 3 tries. He's not debuting before Eddie Iramia Toiava. Eddie Iramia Toiava, who has played centre, edge forward, and prop as a youngster, who's scored a bunch of tries, who wasn't playing New South Wales Cup because he was 18th man for the NRL team. Fatialofa, he might debut ahead of Tanner Smith if they need an edge forward and Eddie Iramia Toiava is not available. But Tanner Smith is also getting those 18th man duties. He is the next up middle forward. Then we're talking Fatialofa. But Tom Ale is playing a bit of edge forward in New South Wales Cup. What does Tom Ale do? He's pretty big. He's pretty powerful. He's pretty fast, and he's got good footwork. And he is now learning how to play edge forward under Andrew Webster. So, like Fatialofa is, I don't. What am I saying? Let me just take a moment. I'm saying all this because not to poo-poo the people who are hyping up, like they're just reacting to the clip that I am intentionally delivering. But it is only to show the options and depth available to the Warriors. Because like Eddie Iramia Toiava isn't getting those highlights because he's 18th man for the Warriors in the NRL. What does Eddie Iramia Toiava do in New South Wales Cup? What does Tanner Smith do in New South Wales Cup? They do their job, and they do their job in their 3rd season of winning with the New South Wales Cup team. Having played New South Wales Cup while they were still eligible for SG Ball. Okay, then we get to the Fatialofa bracket. What's coming up behind Fatialofa? Toby Crosby, who has already done some ridiculous shit in rugby league in his 2nd year of rugby league with the Warriors. Do you know about Jason Salalilo from Christchurch? Because he's played the last few games in New South Wales Cup while still being under 21s eligible. This is the scale of depth. And like the NRL dudes, all these guys have got some sort of highlight. Yes, some of them are a bit crazier. Tanner Smith hasn't done what Fatialofa has done as far as highlights go. But he is well prepared to do a job in the NRL. this is like I feel like I'm just repeating everything I said last week, so I got to chill out. But it's getting crazier because the New South Wales Cup team keeps winning, and like the New South Wales Cup team, I think I had a note. Let me check in the paid section of our Substack newsletter. No, I didn't write it down last week, but like the New South Wales Cup team, most of the forwards are young players on the rise. This week, the forward pack, Tanner Stowers-Smith, Samuel Healy, Freddie Lussick, Tom Ale, Kalis Fatialofa, Kailani Going, Jason Salalilo, Toby Crosby, Makai Tafua, William Whakatomafe on the bench. Like the best thing you can do as a Warriors player, fan, right now, is be like, oh, ask your mate if they know about Leka Halasima. Oh, yeah, right, 19-year-old. Well, right. Okay, then you got to dig a little bit deeper. Okay, so like, have you heard of this Kalis Fatialofa kid? Yeah, right, yeah. But do you know about Idiota Mia-Toiava? Do you know about Tanner Stowers-Smith? Yeah, because I saw them in a preseason trial. Yeah, righto. Do you know about Toby Crosby? Yeah, of course I know about Toby Crosby. Like, I saw him run the whole field off a kickoff. I've seen Toby Crosby carry 10 dudes with him to the try line from halfway. Okay, yeah, cool. But do you know about Jason Salalilo? And do you know about his mate from Christchurch, Makai Tafua, who plays hooker, but he's also a small forward, and he's so good at rugby league that he is playing in the New South Wales Cup team alongside Samuel Healy and Freddie Lussick, who are both hookers or small forwards. There's so many of these dudes. And do you know what else I was thinking about? Just quickly. Early in the season, Warriors got no outside backs. My outside back depth is terrible. Warriors need to sign an outside back. You know what the Warriors have just done? Won 4 games in a row, or 3 games in a row without Wataneze Lesniak or Tuivasa-Sheck. Now, this is a little bit more relevant because in the New South Wales Cup team, all the outside backs, solid troopers. Geronimo Doyle, Dayon Amatuanai, Setu Tu, Moala Graham Taufa, Morgan Harper. There's no young phenoms there. Really solid outside backs. I think Amatuanai and Moala Graham Taufa have the most NRL potential. But it's just a solid group of outside backs who are helping the likes of Ed Kossi, Tain Tuaupiki, Adam Pompey, do the job at the NRL level. And what do you know? Everyone was worried about outside back, forward pack depth, players departing. Warriors kept winning. Your mate probably knows about Jet Cleary, but you can ask him, what about Tanner Boyd? What about Jack Thompson? I'll stop there. We'll give it a break. Once again, the point is that the Warriors are well stacked for depth. And following their development pipeline, following how they are building this organization. Of course, Warriors return to NRLW this season as well. Got a full NRL Wahine preview on the website, thenichecache.com. The way the Warriors are operating as an organization is very fun to follow and to learn about. So if you are a rugby league fan and you want to get into the nitty-gritty, I encourage you to learn about the players in the Warriors system, what they're doing, because there's so much more going on than just the NRL team, even though that's a very impressive little pocket at the moment with the way they are winning.